Welcome to Conversations Live. For more than a decade, we've brought you the best in books, entertainment, celebrity interviews, and current events. When the movers and shakers of the world have something to say to you, they say it to us first. Here's your host, Cyrus Webb.
And welcome back, everyone, to Conversations Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. But for our radio audience here in Mississippi at WYAD 94.1 FM and WYADonline.com, we're glad that you all could be with us. Also, joining us are our friends at iHeartRadio and Amazon Music Podcast. We're glad you all could be with us as well. Well, one of the guilty pleasures on TNT right now is the hit series Rich and Shameless, and we're excited to welcome both the creator and producer to our program today, Tom Lindley. We're going to talk to him not only about the success of the show, but also what it's been like for him to tell these stories and to be able to see the response to them as well. Hopefully you guys have been catching up, and we'll let you guys know, of course, how you can stay connected with Tom. Tom, really appreciate the time today. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you for having me, Cyrus. I hope the phone's all right. I'm over here in London, England.
Oh, look, it sounds great, and we're really excited about this. So first of all, let's talk about the success of Rich and Shameless. Tom, what has it been like for you to go from having this idea to now to seeing the way that people around the world are responding to it?
Well, look, we're thrilled that there are so many people watching it and enjoying it, and it's been a hard road making it. I can tell you that rich people who've done questionable things don't really like talking about it, and so, you know, we've been completely reliant on the many interviewees we've had who've really had the guts to come out and talk about some terrible things that have happened to them, and it's, you know, which must be a really scary thing to do.
Tom, I'm so glad you brought that up, because one of the things I noticed when I was prepping for this segment, back when you were first talking about this show, you made a quote, and I made a note of it. You said, "It just seems that great wealth does tend to bring some poor choices." And I think sometimes unintended consequences come with those choices. What has it been like for you to see the trust they have in you and the show of being able to talk about these things and reflect on them?
Yeah, that's a great question. It takes a lot of work to build that trust. It's not something that comes with a quick phone call and somebody says, yeah, you know, 2 hours of my time, of course I'll go on camera. You've got to be able to try, you know, to justify why you're doing it. And I think putting those victims front and center is what we're there to do. You know, of course, you know, we want to get into some of the nitty-gritty details of what happened and the bad things that happened, but we can never move away. We can never forget that the things we're talking about happened to real people who, you know, never really expected these things to happen in their lives, who found themselves in a position where they're kind of under attack by very wealthy people. You know, when you've got money, you can weaponize it. You know, you can bring that against people, and it's very scary.
Yeah. So let's get into the why then, Tom. Why was this a show that you felt like, one, was needed, but also two, was something that people would gravitate to?
So I think there are a lot of great stories that people have heard about, but they really don't know much about it, or they're not sure what the details were. I mean, I think an example of that is something like one of our feature-length film on Joe Francis and Girls Gone Wild. It's kind of trigger for a lot of people. Remember the kind of cable videos and everything that was on the TV 20 years ago, but they don't really know beyond that what happened. And I think there was a real opportunity to be able to tell a story there that brought out something new, and that would leave an audience walking away with saying, like, oh man, I thought I knew about that story, I thought I knew about that guy, and actually there's a whole load more there that I didn't know about. I don't think there's any point for us in trying to just retread the same thing that's been done over and over. We wanted to get in there and say, this is something new, you haven't seen it before, and we've got some people here who've never spoken and some pictures we've never seen before, and that's what we can do with it.
Yeah, and I think, too, the other great thing I thought about, Tom, with this segment in talking with you and the success of Rich and Shameless is the technology, right, and the hindsight we now have, right, things that were not available when some of these things happened. How has that been to your advantage, to be able to have this opportunity now, as you mentioned, to be able to pull things together, to be able to bring things together that people did not know about or see, and now to be able to incorporate them in the show?
Yeah, I don't know how anybody could really have done it 20 years ago. I think it's still a huge challenge. You know, trying to find old footage, old video, old photographs, it's a really difficult thing to do, and to try and make that up to date and current and just make it feel like you're watching it now. I think it's something that could only come with the kind of the power of the internet and what we can find on there. I mean, we've got the program that's airing, the film that's airing tomorrow night on Peter Nygaard. We've got 20 minutes of exclusive footage that was filmed entirely behind the scenes, and I don't think that would have come about had this happened 20 years ago.
And I think that's it, and I think that's what people have really been drawn to, Tom, these stories, because we love a great story, right? And when there's intrigue and there's mystery, suspense, and as we've seen, some scandal, it is something that people are fascinated by. Did you know from the beginning, Tom? Did you know that if you could get this to television, if you could get this to air, did you know it would be a success?
Well, I mean, you always hope it's the kind of thing that people would want to know about, but I don't think we'd ever. I feel it'd be pretty arrogant for me to say, "Oh, yeah, it's a smash. I know it straight away," because I didn't know that. I didn't know that at all. I didn't. You don't know if people are going to go, "Oh, yeah, that's a story from my past that I remember, and but I want to know more about it." I think we had to try and pick those stories along with the people who wanted to talk and try and decide that these are the ones that give it the best shot at being something that people want to see. So that's why we've got this kind of really wide range of stories across the 7 films. You've got Peter Nygaard, a kind of fashion billionaire who wants to live forever. You've got Joe Francis from Girls Gone Wild. You've got a whole range of different people and stories there, and I think that gives it the best chance to be a success.
Yeah. Last thing I want to ask you about, Tom, to that point, how difficult was that for you to narrow down what stories you want to tell for this season?
Yeah, it's really hard. It's really hard. We start with hundreds, basically, and it just means we make a lot of phone calls and we speak to people and we try and build trust and build relationships. And when we get a kind of head of steam and we know these people want to talk and they think they've got a story to tell and they're willing to do it, that's when we zero in and say this is a story we think we can put together. But I mean, I can tell you that there are plenty of other stories out there. There's no shortage of stories about people with money doing bad things.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, that's why we can continue to be able to enjoy this. Again, everyone, Tom Lindley has been our guest. Tom is the creator and producer of TNT's hit series, Rich and Shameless. You all can check your local listings, of course, for the time you can be able to see it in your area as well. Tom, how can our audience stay connected with you and the updates?
Oh, well, so I should say that our next episode, Peter Nygaard's Unseen Tapes, is airing tomorrow night, May 24th, on TNT after Game 4 of the playoffs. The whole season is going to re-air at prime time in June, and you can get it on TNT On Demand on cable in your local area, and then, of course, on TNT's website.
So definitely invite our audience to take advantage of that. Tom, appreciate you for being on with us. Congratulations again on the success of Rich and Shameless, and looking forward to speaking with you again on the program.
Thank you, Cyrus. Thanks for having me.
Hey, glad to do it. And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Conversations Live. Until next time, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Live. Now let's go make today amazing. Take care.